Hey, welcome to the Compassion Project. I am super excited to be here with Elizabeth today. Elizabeth and I worked together at Healthworks Nutrition Center for 7 years, and that's how we met. And her and I became very, very good friends because we spent a lot of time together and we went through a lot in our lives. She helped me through a lot, to be honest. So Elizabeth is amazing. She's beautiful inside and out and has the biggest heart. And she is absolutely brilliant. Like seriously, we're talking, this girl is brilliant. When we were at Healthworks, I was always like, Elizabeth, can you help me for a minute? She has a brilliant mind, and anything she puts her mind to, she'll accomplish it. So Elizabeth went to school and worked as a horticulturist for quite a few years. I don't know exactly how many, but quite a few. And I know you're really passionate about that too. Like she's always knows so much about plants and everything. Actually, I have a story about the what was it? Oh, orchid. Remember the orchid story?
Oh yeah. The warm water in the shower, yeah.
But I basically almost killed an orchid, and she was just like, no. She worked for Harley Davidson as a manager for over 10 years. And when she left Harley Davidson, she moved into natural health. And that's where we met at Healthworks Nutrition Center. So she is married to her husband, Joe. And she is home with her son, Eli, right now, who is 4. And she's raising Eli. Oh, I hope he can pop in. I don't know what he's doing, but I'd love to see him. And actually, I just want to read this quote that you had posted on your Facebook because I loved it, to do with children. She wrote this quote, and it was, "Speak to your children as if they are the wisest, kindest, and most beautiful, magical humans on earth. For what they believe is what they will become." And I'm like, oh my goodness, I love that. So anyway, welcome, Elizabeth. I'm super excited that you're here. Someone put a little heart up. Oh. Yeah, so I just want to find out, because you and I actually haven't spoken in a long time, so it's kind of cool, right?
Been a long time.
I know, and I miss you. I miss our Mondays.
We had a lot of good conversations on Mondays.
I know. Yeah. I don't think Grant realized, our boss, because we had no clients on Mondays. We worked at it was called Healthworks Nutrition Center, where we helped a lot of people with their health. And we went through a lot there. And Mondays, there was no clients. And her and I, we would talk all day. Sorry, Grant.
Well, good. We were working, but talking at the same time.
True. So, but I thought we would talk a bit about health today and immunity, just to give people ideas about what they could do. And I'm curious to know what you're taking to. But I want to find out how you feel about this whole global pandemic, like when you started to realize this is actually a thing, like things are actually closing, it's bigger than we think, and things started closing.
To be honest with you, when I first heard, like when the virus first came out, well, I guess when it was first publicized in January, what was going on in China, I mean, I knew in the back of my mind how the Chinese media and government are very controlled. So I just kind of knew that it had probably been a problem for a bit longer than what most people knew about it as being. I mean, and kind of, in retrospect, it had started sort of just before Christmas time in China. And I know that one doctor, and I forget his name, he died actually in early February. There was quite a uproar in China about it, because he's the one that really first was trying to bring it out, and the government basically told him to not talk about it, to change information on how people were dying, like on their death certificates, because of course people are dying from, pneumonia type things. And they were basically telling the doctors to change those, certificates of death, that basically that's not how they died, because they were trying to control the message, right? So they knew they had a problem, but they didn't want to, I guess, expose it. But when it reached a point where it couldn't be hidden anymore, then obviously everybody knew about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when it first came out, and just because of the timing of it, because it was right around Chinese New Year, I mean, and that's when there's such massive travel outside of China, and it had already started. And I remember when I first heard about it, I was like, I, I just remember saying, this is bad. Like, I just knew it was bad.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was not even a matter of a week where you're seeing, cases in, Italy, and it was everywhere, right? So I don't know. Once I sort of read about it, you kind of knew the writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
And then it just really came down to, how individual countries and governments chose to, I guess, address it or manage it as best you could. So, I mean, I kind of knew it was bad, and I think that it's very easy for us living in Canada to feel like we're safe, like like problems elsewhere in the world, although they're horrible, they don't really affect us. I think this is just a huge wake up call for everybody that we truly live in a global world now. It's not just
Yeah.
about one country and another country. It's just global. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody travels, and yeah, I mean, and that's all changing too, right? I mean, that's the other thing that I would say probably within a week or 2 weeks of things being closed down here, which was, I think, March 17th, I think, is when they really
Yeah.
closed everything here. It was about a week after that that I just realized that I was going to have to come to peace with the fact that things were never going to go back to normal, right? And that there would be changes that are just going to be permanent, whether that's in how people work, how people shop and interact. I mean, things are never going to go back to normal. And I think that the normal that we were accustomed to,
Right.
even like air travel, like, I'm sorry, I think the end of, cheap flights and people just, flying off to Mexico for a week, I don't see that coming back anytime soon. I'm talking a few years, right? So
Yeah.
I think that for me, once I really came to the realization that it's not just, a temporary thing, that it's going to be changed forever in some capacity. I just realized that I had to come to terms with that and find a new way to do things, and just change my attitude about things, and just realize that I had to accept a new way of doing things, and that's just how it was going to be going forward. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I kind of knew it
I
was bad.
I love that, because you and I know from all our discussions at HealthWorks how different we are. And if we were sitting together right now, I would be looking at you like, what? I mean, I was in Mexico in February. I don't watch much news. I didn't have any warning.
Oh,
I was not surprising. Mexico and have a good time. Completely shocked in March. I had no idea, like you knew in January, what was happening in China.
Well,
Right?
they had, like, there were articles coming out, and the more you really looked into them, the more you could see that there was clearly a history of things. I mean, and it's
Yeah.
not like it hasn't happened before, right? And I mean, I'm certainly not blaming China for what happened. I mean, it could have started anywhere in the
Yeah,
world, right?
exactly.
It's just, unfortunately, there was a lag between when it was really announced globally that there was potentially this problem, and unfortunately it had already spread. I mean, that's the way a virus works. It doesn't
Yeah.
care who you are or where you live. It just wants a host to live in, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, by the time it was really recognized, the cat was out of the bag already. So,
Yeah. I
yeah.
know. I find the whole thing fascinating. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
and as humans, like it's a the global pandemic, but I think it's interesting how everyone is really has to go inward more. Like my mom said, when I talked to my mom on one of these chats, she said, we can't go out, so we need to go in.
Yeah.
And find out what's important, the joys of life. How are your mom and dad doing? Are you able to see them, or what's happening with
No,
them?
I'm
No.
not. Well, because in order to see them, I have to travel there to see them, and then I have to stay with them. So,
Oh, yeah, right.
so
So
it
her
doesn't
parents
work.
live a couple hours away, right, by car?
They live about 2.5 to 3 hours, depending
Yeah.
on, how fast you want to drive. But it's not even just about, I mean, yeah, but with like Eli, I have to stop at least once for him to have a pee or something. So every
Yeah.
time you stop, there's more potential interactions, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, they haven't seen Eli since January, right? So
Oh,
that's hard
wow.
on them, and he's
Yeah.
their only grandson. And then with Joe's mom and dad, they're older than my parents, so they haven't left their property since this started. I do all of their shopping for them. So so yeah, and in fact, Joe's aunt and uncle, they spend winters in New Zealand. They were there for well, they finally got back. They got back on April 1st. That was quite an ordeal
Oh,
for them to get back. But I mean, of course, when they got back, they were quarantined. So for a big chunk of time, I was doing all their grocery shopping too. So when I went grocery shopping, it was literally an entire day because I was shopping for 3 families.
oh my goodness.
Now I just do 2, right? Joe's parents and us. So it's still a long affair because you're in big lines and blah, blah, blah. But it is what it is, right? So it's just hard on them because they don't have that same interaction, and that's where my heart hurts for people that don't have that interaction. Because I mean, like legitimately, there are elderly people that die of loneliness. Like
I
that's a real
know.
problem, and to me, that's the part that's so unnatural, is that you know people are dying alone and they don't have even their family there before. People can't be there to say goodbye. That's where my heart
I
hurts, because it's
know.
actually not a natural human process. We really want to be involved in all stages of people's lives, right? So
Yeah.
it's really tough. But what I'm hoping for going forward, like after the big wave is passed, is that, because I mean, really, for probably the last, I'm going to say 10 years, maybe longer, people have been becoming, and countries have been becoming much more like fractionalized, where people are identifying with a group and they don't like this group, and there's been a lot of real ugliness, and it's been getting worse. I mean, obviously certain governments and political leaders have exacerbated that problem, but what I'm hoping for going forward is that people are really going to recognize that no matter where you live, we all share an experience, and that there's far more that we have in common than that makes us different, and
Yeah.
that's going to bring people together more, and that people are going to be less tolerant of people that are trying to create divisiveness, because we just don't, I mean, we didn't need that then, but we certainly don't need that anymore. And I think that people are now I think forced to realize what's really important. And I'm also hoping going forward that when people kind of go back to a more, normal life, that they also really are protective of what they allow to come back into their lives. Because for most of us, there was just stuff we did not need. We were
Yeah.
too busy, and really not focused on what actually matters in the long run. So
I
those are my
know.
hopes.
Honestly, yeah, I agree. And you know what? It's so interesting because when you when you and I work together, um, I remember you saying something, and I've never forgot it. You might not remember, but you said, because I went through a lot those years when with my kids in university, and it was
Mm,
ups and downs and ups and downs, and I had dogs that were dying, and then kids going away to, and then Amber expecting a baby, and all right. And I
yeah.
remember one day we're working, and you said to me, "Your life is like an ocean." Like like waves and up and down, and you're, and then you said your life, like you go, my life is like a still pond. And I was like, oh, and I remember thinking, mine is like an ocean. And And it was almost like you felt like yours was like a still pond, like where mine was so much going on. And I now am so grateful for a still pond.
Yeah.
I want my life to be calm. I want to be able to see what's right in front of me. And I think back then you helped me through a lot, but I could have ridden that everything I went through more calm. I got so emotionally into things that I would just
Mm.
feel it. You went through a lot of stuff too, but you're more accepting and you can.
Well, I just,
You are.
I for for me, I just try to, I guess for those kind of things, I like to, I guess, go more inward. And because I find that if I like ride waves, I think that then you become so reactive to things. And if you can sort of somehow create calm or take a step backwards and try to see the big picture or whatever,
Right.
it's just a more peaceful journey. Like
Right. And I think
for me, when you were going through all that stuff, I was like, I would be exhausted. Like I just couldn't do it. So yeah.
I was thinking about that the other day and I was like, I have since I have lived here, so I moved and I've lived 5 years in a new city in Kelowna. So
Yeah.
Elizabeth and I really haven't seen each other much, a little bit over the time. Um, but I feel like I've done so much personal growth and being more aware of my thinking and just I'm way more aware. And I feel like I'm going to that place of being able to experience life and things that happen, but more calm, like just
Yeah.
embracing this is life and you ride the waves. But I didn't have to be like me. I was like Titanic. I'd come into Healthworks and just be like, oh my God, I can't believe what happened to Elizabeth. And Elizabeth, well, what now?
Yeah.
So anyway, so let's talk a little bit about, we worked at Healthworks together. We worked with a lot of people. You have a ton of
Mhm.
knowledge. I'm curious to know what you're doing for your immunity. Are you still, are you, I know you're eating really healthy, but do you also take supplements or, because I am taking two things and I'm going to tell you what they are, but are you taking anything?
I'm taking what I always have taken for quite a lot, well, quite a long time, a few years. So I haven't really changed that. So things like it's a, multivitamin, multi-mineral. I take iron because I just need extra iron or I want to fall asleep. Vitamin C, and I take higher dosages of vitamin C than a lot of people. So, but I haven't changed that. Vitamin B, like your B complex. Vitamin D, I take lots of vitamin D because I need it. Multi-carotene, calcium and magnesium, probiotics, omega. So I take
Yeah.
quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and I haven't changed anything because I'm trying to focus on eating like a whole food, plant-based diet. And to me, if I eat healthy and then I, fill in gaps with what I use, to me, that's enough.
Yeah.
Because our bodies are amazing. And if we give them healthy food, and, anything to, fill in the gaps, they're more than capable of doing what they need to do. I
Yeah.
don't use a bunch of like antiviral or immune boosting things because to be honest with you, none of us have an immunity to COVID-19. So you could take anti-immunities or, immunity stuff a wazoo, and it's not going to make a difference because if you come into contact with the virus, you have no immunity to it. So you're going to get it. But if your
Oh,
body's in a healthy place to be able to fight and whatever, then you're going to likely, touch wood, have a better outcome, right? Because really, they look at, obviously age plays a factor in more unfortunate outcomes. And then there's lots of other morbidities like, obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And pretty much all of those are related to an unhealthy lifestyle,
yeah.
especially. So to me, if people focus on that, then that's going to be their best bet long term, right?
Well, I started because I try to eat pretty healthy, you know that, eat pretty healthy. And
Mhm.
I do always take vitamin D, but I don't take too much else. But I did start taking vitamin C.
Oh,
So
Oh
I started because I looked at what you need to take, to stay healthy. And then I did go get we used to sell this at HealthWorks. I don't sell anything anymore. This is just is Purica, the Immune 7 with all the
yeah. Oh
mushrooms.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I take that every day because, but one thing that was sold out of the health food store, which I found fascinating, was zinc. And I was like,
Yeah.
why would zinc be? Why would they said, oh, we can't get zinc in because of
No.
COVID-19. I'm like, why zinc? Would you know?
Well, zinc plays a huge role in your like immune health, like in your immune response. So for example, like if you have a cold or something, when you use zinc, it just basically helps your body to put up a stronger immune response, and it plays a large role, or is very helpful in like issues with the upper, like respiratory type stuff, which COVID
Oh,
obviously plays a role in. I mean, now
okay.
they're obviously realizing that it's not just the lungs that COVID affects, but it has a huge effect on the vascular system. Like blood clots, and it's really a horror show, right? But now they're just realizing all of these other things. But obviously, the lungs are a huge role, and that's where a lot of the focus was early on. So yeah,
Oh,
that's why the zinc sold out, is because people were using it. But it's not something you want to take too much of or for too long. It's actually unhealthy to get too much zinc, right? So
oh,
yeah, it's not good. You're not supposed to take more than 5 milligrams per day, which is
oh,
usually what the dosage is in like a lozenge or a capsule or whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of things that, just because they're good doesn't mean they're good in big doses or good for long term. You should
yeah,
only take them for the time that you maybe need them. So,
yeah.
so yeah.
Oh, interesting. Well, I couldn't get any. It was sold out. So like, I give up. And I think the importance of just you mentioned that you take iron for sleep. Did you say
No,
that?
I'm sorry. It's for my energy, or I would probably fall asleep because I was a little low in iron. So, I mean, I don't take a
Oh,
ton of iron, but I do take iron every day, and I just feel good when I take iron. And if I don't take iron, it takes a while, but then I kind of start to feel like,
yeah, yeah,
right? So I know I need it, right? Obviously, if, as as a woman, like if the days of your period are over, you don't need iron, because iron, once again, is very unhealthy for you to take if you don't require it. So
oh,
i
okay.
don't I don't recommend people just taking iron. Oh, I think I'll try some iron. Like, no, it's actually really bad to take it. It's really hard on your liver. So if you don't need it, don't take it.
Oh
I
yeah,
just need it, so I take it.
yeah, yeah. Oh, good. Well, you're amazing. It's so fun talking to you. So, and the other thing I'm just curious about, I'm curious, and actually you might be surprised by this, but do you, for your mindset, the positive, because a lot of us can have anxiety and overthink because of what's happening with social distancing. It's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now, and people that already have a bit of anxiety, it almost creates panic when you add uncertainty. How
Mhm.
are you good in your mindset? Do you meditate, or do you do anything like that?
I have meditated pretty consistently for a long time. I haven't been meditating as much lately because I feel like, I don't know, kind of feel like I'm in a better place now. So I don't necessarily meditate all the time. But if I find I've had a couple of days where I'm like more reactive, then I'll be like, okay, I need to just like do
Go
some
to quiet.
inside work. But no, I don't. See, for me, we have a TV. We don't have TV, so I don't just watch the news, right? Whatever news I get is whatever I choose to read and look at. And I think that that's an important thing, is that we really protect our mind and really filter what we put into it. And that also comes down to, being aware of the sources of information, because unfortunately there's lots of bad stuff out there,
Yeah,
or very political stuff. So I think just really being conscious of what I put in.
yeah,
Um, I'm
yeah,
reading, personal development type books. And I'm just really focusing on trying to talk to other people and be around other people. And that's challenging, actually, because I mean, when I go out, I like to talk to people all the time. And I've really struggled because most people are very they're standoffish or they're so focused on what they're doing. So I've actually struggled with that, in that I'm just like, come on, people, like, just because I can't be close to you doesn't mean you can't talk to me, right? Like, we
Actually,
came to talk.
honestly, Elizabeth, that's true because I find that, we walk the dog a lot and you can go and you social distance. You're like 6 feet
Yeah.
apart or further, but people stop smiling. Like
Yeah.
before, they're like, hi, oh, have a nice day. And then
Yeah.
now people head down. I'm like,
Yeah.
so I'm purposely being like, hi, like, have a nice day. Oh, and they'll smile. But
Yeah.
it's just because you're going through this doesn't mean you have to stop
I know.
communicating from a distance or being
Yeah.
friendly because we all need it.
And I mean, as a mom, because I mean, anywhere I go, Eli's with me, and because he sees me always talking to people and being friendly and saying hi and giving people compliments, he's learned that that's just what you do, right? So
Yeah.
when we're out, he'll be like, hi, or how are you? Or I really like your
Aw.
jacket. He's creating conversations, and people will just like walk by. They won't even answer, man. I'm like, for me inside, I'm just like calm down. I'm like, okay, it's okay if you blow me off, but I know you heard my son. Like, he's almost
Yeah.
okay, I'm a little biased. He's cute, but like, he's a 5-year-old child who just said something nice to you. The least you could do is answer him,
I
right?
know.
Or he'll say hi to a kid and they don't even answer them, and their parents don't say like, say hi, right? And that
Yeah, I
bothers
know.
me because I mean, as an adult, I can process it better than a child. They don't
Yeah.
understand why someone's being mean or rude, right?
Yeah, they
So
don't.
for me, that's just challenging to have to explain it to them, but I do, right? And I
Yeah.
usually explain it to them right when those people are there, so they hear, right? But whatever, like,
Yeah. Kids will
it's
adapt. Even Maurice is very friendly, outgoing, but he misses his little buddies. And so, but anyway, I guess we should probably sign off because
I
you and
know,
I can talk forever,
I know.
but you can stay on. So don't, we'll
Oh,
talk
okay.
after, but we'll say
Okay.
goodbye. Thanks anyone for watching, and yeah, stay healthy and thanks.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.